Hey guys, this is Nirmal here for Technique, and today we're going to do comparison of two Android phones. But unlike our previous comparisons, these two phones are not in the same price range, and they are the Moto G 2014 version with the Huawei Honor Holy. So these two phones are in two different categories. One is an entry level phone. The Honor Holy is priced at 7K and competes with Moto E and other devices in the budget category, while the Moto G is a mid-range phone which is priced at 13K. So the reason we are doing this comparison is a lot of readers are confused on why they should go for Moto G when the Huawei Honor Holy is priced around almost half the price of Moto G with almost the same specs. Both have HD display, both have quad-core processor, 16GB storage, 8 megapixel camera, and almost everything remains the same. So why is Moto G priced more than the Honor Holy, and is it really worth spending the money on the Moto G? So this was a question asked by quite a few readers on our YouTube channel. So here is a comparison of these two phones, and we'll decide whether Moto G is really worth the price or you should go with the Huawei Honor Holy. So let's start off the comparison with the design and build quality of these two devices. So the Huawei Honor Holy is a pretty decent device in terms of the design, although the build quality is not really the great. It has a glossy finish. The glossy finish isn't really a great selling point in this price point, because we see the Redmi 1S and few other, even the Asus Zen phones have pretty decent build quality and have a matte finish back panel, but this has a glossy finish back panel which is not really desirable for a lot of users. So in that aspect you can say that the build quality of Honor Holy isn't really that great, but not really bad. It's acceptable quality. On the design aspect, the Honor Holy is a pretty decent looking device. There is not much to complain in the design aspect. It's pretty decent and it's pretty slim as well, but the weight is on a higher side when compared to the other devices. But although it does compare with Redmi 1S on the weight aspect. So that was the design and build quality. You can say that for a 7K price device, this is really good, pretty decent design and as well as pretty decent build quality, although it might not really be the desirable build quality you might expect on a smartphone. Now moving on to the Moto G. The Moto G 2014 version was released a couple of months back, and it has almost the same design principles of the previous generation Moto G, except for the fact that it has a dual front facing speakers and a bigger display. So the design and the build quality remains exactly the same. The matte finish back panel looks pretty decent, and you can see that the back panel has a curved finish, and you can see the thickness is on a little bit on the higher side when compared to the Honor Holy. Thickness, the weight is again a little lesser than the Honor Holy. So in the overall build quality and the design aspects, we would say that we are inclined to choose the Moto G because it has a really good build quality and also design with the front facing speakers. Although the Huawei Honor Holy is not far behind, it does have pretty good design and build quality for its price. But on the whole, if you compare these two devices, we would definitely pick the Moto G. Now moving on to the software aspect of these two devices. The Honor Holy comes with Android 4.4.2 KitKat, although not the latest version. It does still have Android KitKat, and the Moto G comes with Android 4.4.4 KitKat. That is upgradable to the Android L. The Motorola has already promised the Lollipop update for this device. So in that aspect, the software aspect, the Moto G has a slight edge because there is a promised update which is coming up and probably next month or so. So there is nothing much mentioned about the latest update coming for the Honor Holy. So we are not really sure on whether the company will provide updates for the Holy. So that aspect, we would say Moto G is better. Now if you see the software aspect of these two devices, you can see that the Motorola has a stock UI, almost stock UI, and it has an app drawer, and which is typical to most of the Android phones. While on the other side, the Honor Holy does not have an app drawer. It has a multiple home screen layout like the Xiaomi Redmi 1S and few other devices like the Gioni Amigo UI. So it does not have an app drawer, but you can arrange apps into folders. You can see that you can group apps into different folders. So that's why it's pretty decent. The Motorola has more or less a stock UI, and you can say that if you love the stock UI experience, then the Motorola Moto G is better to buy. Now if you look at the notification center on these two devices, again very little to choose from. Both have almost the same features. Although the device, the Honor Holy, has slightly improved features in the notification center. Now that is because of the MediaTek powered chipset. Now coming on to the hardware, that is one important aspect when we consider devices. Although both the devices have the quad-core chipset, the Moto G 2014 comes with a Snapdragon 400 chipset with 1 GB of RAM, while the Honor Holy comes with a MediaTek chipset with 1 GB of RAM. So basically the MediaTek chipset is cheaper, and hence there is a big difference in pricing when compared to the Moto G. That's one aspect of the pricing, which when we say the Honor Holy is 7K and Moto G is 13K, so there is one difference, that's the processor, and this also goes with other internals as well. So even the RAM and other parts, other internals do change with these two devices. So in the performance aspect, both the devices have pretty good fast performance. There isn't any lag in either UI or any aspect when we tested these two devices. So even the gaming experience is pretty good on this device. But having said that, since the Moto G has a Snapdragon processor, the gaming is a bit better on the Moto G than the Honor Holy, because the MediaTek chipset isn't really great when it comes to budget smartphones with respect to gaming. So in that aspect, we would say the gaming experience is slightly better on the Moto G with 1 GB of RAM and the Snapdragon quad-core 400 chipset, while the Honor Holy comes with the MediaTek powered chipset with 1 GB of RAM. Now moving on to the display, both the devices sports a 5-inch HD display, and both have IPS LCD panels, so there isn't much to choose from between the displays. But there is one really important aspect with the Moto G, that it has a Corning Gorilla Glass 3 protection, which is probably missing on the display on the Honor Holy. So the Corning Gorilla Glass 3 protection on the Moto G helps in protecting it from scratches and other faults. So that is one good aspect of these two displays. Apart from that, the Moto G also has a water repellent coating, although it's not really water resistant or waterproof. It does have a water repellent coating. So even small kind of water, like if you hold it in rain for a couple of seconds, those things are not really affected on the Moto G. So that's one really good aspect with the Moto G. Now moving on to the camera on these two devices. Although both the devices have the 8 megapixel camera with autofocus and LED flashlight, the features available on the Moto G is slightly less than what you have on the Honor Holy. So Honor Holy has the MediaTek processor, and it has the same interface what we see on almost all MediaTek powered devices. So it is feature rich. It has option to edit, customize the exposure, ISO and other stuff. So but on the Moto G you don't have those things, but although you can install third-party camera apps and get more features, but the basic camera app does not have that many features. But that cannot be said the same for the photos taken with these two devices. The Moto G clearly is a winner here with better colors, the sharpness, and also the overall image quality is better on the Moto G when compared to the Honor Holy. So both the devices have 8 megapixel camera, but the Honor Holy can record in 1080p, while the Moto G can only record in 720p. Even though the 720p recording is only supported on the Moto G, but the video clarity is pretty good, and it's pretty acceptable for a mid-range phone. So overall, in the camera aspect, if you're looking for the photo quality and the video quality, we would say that the Moto G is still slightly above the Honor Holy in terms of the overall performance. Now moving on to the battery performance. While the Honor Holy comes with a 2000 mAh battery, the Moto G comes with a 2070 mAh battery, so it's almost the same in terms of the capacity. And while testing both these devices, we found that both these devices do have almost similar battery life, and you can get a day of usage with these two devices. So if you're an average user, you definitely get 1 day of usage with these two devices. So there isn't a clear winner in terms of battery, but both have pretty decent battery life. Now summing up, what is really better in the Moto G when compared to the Honor Holy? First is the processor. The Snapdragon quad-core 400 processor is superior to the MediaTek chipset on the Honor Holy. Secondly, the camera is pretty decent, much better than the Honor Holy. And thirdly, we would say that the overall build quality is slightly better on the Moto G. So these are the three things which we feel is better on the Moto G when compared to the Honor Holy. So having said that, the Honor Holy is definitely a good buy for 7K. So it's based on your private priorities. You need to choose the devices. So if you want better hardware, you need to choose Moto G. If you want a cheaper device, your choice is on a Holy. And Moto G also has the company has promised Android Lollipop update, so that should be coming up pretty soon. So these were the points we took in the comparison of the Moto G with the Honor Holy. Hope you like this video. If you have any specific queries regarding this, just drop a comment and we'll be glad to help you out with your queries. If you like this video, do hit the like button, subscribe to YouTube channel for more updates, and thanks for watching this video.